once you've been a human, can you be reborn as an animal or do you not go backwards? I feel like that would be a waste of a life though, if I went back
Exactly.
to an animal in the next time, because then how am
Yeah,
I don't think that those experiences that I'm going to have as a dog, for example, are going to help me much to reduce the other fetters, right?
exactly, exactly. That is why Buddha
Seems
mentioned,
like a waste.
uh, we have been doing this discussion for a while now, and we do have a playlist on the YouTube channel. And then anybody wants to refer to the our previous discussion, you could, or if you are interested, you can go into that. But now we are going to start our today's session, and I wanted to tag along with our previous session for this one, especially with some of the questions came up during that time. One of the question I know, Stephanie, you asked about why we all don't want to become a monk or be robe bearers, and then make it speed up the process. So to me, actually, it won't happen because speeding up the process doesn't mean that really you have to be in the isolation or you have to be wear a different robe or anything, because whatever the process is happening within you, not from the outside. So whether you wear a robe or anything, or whether you are in the jungle, or whether you are in the jungle of city, still you have to make sure that really your inner essence is more tune up, and then go into that ambience and then make sure. So this has been seen during the Buddha's time, and Buddha normally, people think about that the disciples as the people who's wearing a robe and all. But he never said that. Really. He said that, okay, you can be my disciple and then be like that, but it doesn't mean that really you are following my practice. So for for that, he has given a different perspective and different dimension of his practitioners. He said, my practitioners are 8 individuals, 8 of them. He always come with numbers. That is the good part. Because those days, I think people can't remember anything, but it's kind of a formula, like I said in the book. So he said that really there are 8 people, but those 8 people or 8 individuals are in uh, 4 pairs. 4 pairs. That means two of each of four. That is 8, right? So on the pair, the first pair is the one that really I mentioned in the book, that stream enterer and the stream winner. So that's one pair. So those are the one of the very first stage of the Buddha's disciples or his practitioners. That's how I call it. It's called Sangha. Actually, you would have heard about that word. Sangha. Sangha is actually his followers, like, or his disciples, like. And then some of the modern day, I know that really sounds true. They refer to the people who's practicing as Sangha. Sangha is like, yeah, they are in the spiritual path. So similarly, that Sangha is actually, it has been in the Pali word, actually. It's been in the one of the sutra as well. So that Sangha is the people that really who actually practice his teaching. So the first pair of that is the stream enterer and stream winner. And the second pair is actually people who has already became a stream winner, but who's working towards or in the path to become a one returner. And then the next pair is, of course, the who has became the one returner and who's in the path to become a non-returner. And then the other person is, of course, who's already a non-returner, but in the path to be an arihant. So those are the 4 pairs. So that means by individual, sense, there are 8 people, and they were called actually Ashtare Putkala Mahasangarat. That is the Pali word. It's too big. So I just want to mention that because the people who's listening to this recording, they would know about that. So I just want to refer to that. So that means those are the 8 people that really who's really in the practice of his teaching. So all of us are in that right now. I know that. Even Stephanie, as you said on the last time, without knowing even, you are following eightfold path, right? So that is that because of once you get to the stream winner, it's obvious. It's just fall into that path, and that you are following that path, and then become a not once returner. Once you reduce that, the fetters, the 2 lower fetters we were talking about, that desire and the aversion, when it goes down and it's mild down, that battery is going down, when it's released or actually eradicated, fully eradicated, you become a non-return. Non-return in the sense that really the person that really will not be in this, cycle of rebirth anymore. But until that time, you will be in the, people will be in the cycle of rebirth. That is why that Grace asked that question about that 7 rebirth. But I wish that Grace was here today. But I wanted to give a little answer to that as well, so then she can hear after the recording. She's coming with that and different aspect of what she knows about it. But I wanted to give a little bit of a helicopter view of this whole process for everybody to understand. Now, when we were talking about rebirth or the reincarnation, it is the process that really the running throughout all the time. So when we think about as an individual, we are just the one frame of that process. If you think about that, it's a movie, or the old days actually movies were filmed on a film, right? And then it runs through, a projector, and those are frame by frame by frame. You can remember that it is very old movies. They are more. It's not that smooth. There are even movements are frame by frame, frame by frame. Similarly, our this process of birth and death is frame by frame. That one frame is our whole life in this world right now. So once you die, you will start again on the physical form. But on the metaphorical form, there is nothing to, the dying is happening every millisecond. Because every millisecond, we are just changing our concept, right? Whenever you are listening to me, you are just changing your concept of, okay, what is rebirth? And now it's been changed. So that in the very core of you, your understanding is different than your just about a minute ago. So that is kind of it's called bhava. It's called actually becoming. You are becoming more and more different person all the time. Just like that, the snowball is rolling. While rolling, it's collecting a lot of more snow, and then it's getting larger. The mass is getting larger and larger. Similarly, you are really collecting those things. Mostly, the person who's a noble person rather than stream winner. Stream winner is actually dropping those things because it's slowed down. So that's the difference. So I don't want to, because I think the people are just taking that as the normal course. It's not a normal course of process. Normal course of process is like a snowball rolling down all the way. And then it's always, accumulating more snow into that. So in the sense that really we are accumulating our perception, ideologies, and all those our experiences, and then we are collecting it and accumulating with us. And even if we die, in the physical form, but still it's continuing. That's what the rebirth means. It's continuing with some other way. It could be, a physical form would be different. Physical form would be human, or a physical form could be, like I said, bird, or even, some other animal, kind of a dog, maybe. So that is the Buddha's wisdom. But prior to that, the people were talking about no, they're talking about actually people reborn again as a human, and then that is why it's been differentiate from the rebirth to reincarnation. Reincarnation is like you are reborn on the human form rather than animal or anything. So the the school of thought on the Hinduism and the yogic traditions, they always think about that really humans are born as a human only, not as a different species. But on the Buddha's discovery, he said that really, oh, it's not a human. It's nothing to do with this physical form. It's actually going through the that process of, you know, continuation of our collecting of this perceptions, concept, and all that, and then which is our 10 fetters comes to, because whenever it is collected, so it's in either any of those form is there. So that is why Buddha categorize all these concept as a 10 fetters, and then once you get to the right level of, I mean, once you get that non-self experience, of course, that first three fetters, which is very outer layer of that snowball, is just dropped, and then goes, oh, okay, that is that helicopter view of this whole process. That's I wanted to make sure. And then going back to that, the whether we should become monks, I just want to finish that thought process. So because of that, eight people, that eight individuals are the actual practitioners. It doesn't matter what you wear, what you think, but your inner essence is pure and different. So that is how he recognized his disciple as them. Doesn't matter what they wear. But on the traditional form and then the Buddhism's, that as a religion, of course, they do have this category of monk and nuns. And of course, the people who really devoted, they call it, you can be lady devotees or men or gents devotees. So those are the four categories on the physical form. But actual inner essence form, there are 8 categories. And then those are, as I said, that 4 pairs of who's in the path, in that eightfold path in a different layers.
Once you've been a human, can you be reborn as an animal, or do you not go backwards?
Uh,
Do you know?
what do you mean by do not go backward? You can be anyone. You can be animal, and then after that, you can be a human again.
Okay. I feel like that would be a waste of a life, though, if I went back
Exactly.
to an animal in the next time, because then how am
Yeah,
I don't think that those experiences that I'm going to have as a dog, for example, are going to help me much to reduce the other fetters, right?
exactly. That is why Buddha
Seems
mentioned.
like a waste.
Yeah, that is why Buddha mentioned that the people who became stream winner will never go to that lower rank. It's like, dog or anything.
Okay.
So if he's a stream winner, he has that person has only at the most 7 rebirth, but all that would be human nature, all
Okay.
that be human form. But before that, I mean, prior to that, anybody can be different way because it's depending on their collection of things. Like if somebody has very good, merit and all that, whatever their collection is much better and they are very peaceful and all that, it can be a dog. But it can be a dog in India somewhere just on the street, or it can be a dog in one of the luxury house as a pet. So that all depends on that different layer of what they have done. And then in the same time, it's a kind of that process is called karma. You heard about the word karma, right? That karma is actually it's actually cause and effect nature of everything. He put that as a karma because of that really cause and effect of your doing, your actual doing. So that is doesn't matter that whether you build a house or not, but within you with your concept, whatever the concept come to you, and then if you if you nourish that thought, it will give a results. So that's the results. So the cause and effect, or the uh, uh, whatever you do has some kind of a result outcome. So that outcome and that all together we call karma. and and karma, it can be physically doing something, or it can be that really mentally you're doing. You're just really hate somebody. So that hatred is building up, and that aversion is building up. So if you do not hate something, and then if you just let go, whatever the thoughts come, if you see the person that who has done something wrong to you, but you may just see him, okay, that's him. That is kind of a thing that really you don't grasp it anymore. But the person who's not a stream winner, of course, they would not even a streamer. Sometimes they collect it, but at least that if you put that bar as a threshold of how to perceive things, normally the person, if you find that you're a person that who has done something wrong to you, you just have that aversion coming through, or the anger coming through, and then that will again accumulate into that whole process of that snowballing process, or it's called actually that aggregation process. You could see that in the book I was mentioning, that aggregation process. It happens all the time, not just only looking at a person that you don't like, but if you like something, that also happens. That's the same thing. It doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. That process happens all the time. Even for good or bad, or even a neutral, it's also happening if you're just clinging into. But the stream winner has an advantage of not clinging into them. They just let go, because they in a core, that person would know that really nothing much to worry about, nothing much to collect to. And that is what I mention when I say that really when you have that non-self experience for a fraction of a second, all the fetters were gone, but not for permanently. I know that really you mentioned that really you got it that as a permanently, but maybe I have said it permanently, or you may listen to, but actually it's gone permanently at that stage, and then that stage is still there. It's permanent. But that is why when you have the desire later on, it's not the same strong desire as it used to. That because of you know for sure it is nothing much to go, but actually with the habit, you are just following it. And then it's a smile. It's not that same as that. So that is the difference between that when you became a stream. And the analogy I have given to that is that that uh, on a stream, a huge tree trunk just fall on across the stream, right? Water stream. I'm talking about water stream. And then the water will apart. You see the flow of the water stream, just like the non-self experience. And later on, still the water will start running over, flowing over. So that is but when it's flowing over, but this is water, because you have already seen the water. So that's the difference between that, the feeling of that strong desire, or the lust or aversion, all those kind of thing, not like it used to be. And it's more milder, and then later on it'll just dies down little by little, because you see that as a nothing much to do. There's nothing like it's a very old example, like when you're walking, if you see a dog poo down there, you're not going to jump into that, right? You're just going away from this, because that's kind of that's a good analogy as well. So even those things, it comes in, okay, sometimes because of your strong feeling, you might go there, but again, you know how to get back. Make sense? Yeah. All right. I'll stop and let others to talk. Any contribution or any questions? Sean, how
I
about
have
you?
something.
Okay, Alex, go ahead.
So I've been I've been wondering when, or not really when, how would I know if I'm beginning to make substantial progress in allowing more of the 10 fetters to begin to fade away? Because I have been noticing more and more recently that various things do seem to be dying down. Like I'm not trying to force them to, I'm more allowing them to begin to
Mm-hmm.
die down. And it very much seems like both a lot of good things and a lot of bad things aren't necessarily seeming good or bad. It's not like one of them's inherently better than the other. Like smells, for example, it's more of rather than something being overtly pleasant or extremely unpleasant, it's more of everything is just registering as smells and that kind of thing, and various things of that nature. And that seems to be getting more and more substantial as time goes on. But I am wondering, what am I not really looking for, but what are some signs that I am beginning to make some progress?
Yeah. Now, what you explain, everybody else and even I could see that you are explaining that progress because you could see you are, you know, going, I mean, that fading away things, right? So that is the progress. So you don't need to be look for the specific milestone. I know that you may be thinking about, okay, now I have said there is a stream winner and then the once returner and the non-returner and Avihat and all that. So I think you're looking for that kind of a milestone where I'm standing now. Alex, that really probably you may be thinking of that, 4 stages of enlightenment and then that threshold. How can I identify that, whether how far I have gone? So what I was saying is that you don't need to that. Just like, you now you are not like a mundane person. You are being seen the non-self experience and you feel that really things are dies down. Similarly, when once you pass that threshold, you would realize or you see, oh, I know what NT was saying or what was in the book and what was the Buddha has said. Oh, this is wrong. That is how it actually goes. Other than and then don't look for it. Are you with me, Alex?
Yeah, I'm with you. So it's rather than me trying to look for any specific goal or milestone, it's more of that the experiences that I'm having and the changes that I'm noticing are the milestones themselves.
Exactly. Exactly. And then you would see that clear distinction later on when you do all the or most of the thing and you realize, oh, this is what he said. Very
I
good.
see. I see. Okay, thank you.
One thing, this is kind of random, but one thing that I have noticed for myself is that I have zero interest anymore. Maybe that's just a phase. I don't know, but I've had this phase for a while now. I have zero interest in romantic relationships. Um, I can't imagine engaging in that ever again. And I don't think it's because I'm bitter. I think it's because in the past I have used them to fill a void and to make me happy. And it just doesn't make sense anymore because I found something else that is so much better.
Mhm.
That romantic relationships could never come close. So it doesn't make sense to go after that anymore.
I understand. Totally understand. And there is a very good monk. I mentioned him as well. His name is Ajahn Brahmavalsa. He lives in Perth, Australia, but he is one of the monks who ordained with Ajahn Chah. I don't know whether you can remember, I mentioned him too. He's actually Oxford graduate who has been teaching theoretical physics after his graduation, and gave up everything and then left and then joined this Ajahn Chah, and then went through a very tough life, like the austerity, living in the jungle without any facilities and all that. And finally, he became one of the very leading monk, and now he's kind of a very leading monk and then he's the abbot, if I put it on that our term, in Perth, the monastery right now, and then it's a very famous monastery. It's a Buddhist monastery, and a lot of people come to that. And his one of the statement is, people don't realize that with this jhana, or with this meditative absorption, it is much better than sex. That's what he said. Not even the romantic relationship, but it is kind of a because that is again this is all that's carnal things are more relative to any species, not on the human, not on the animals and all those things. That really even the flowers is being pollinated with all this thing and is regenerated. It's kind of expanding their species, kind of a thing. So it is kind of a mundane thing rather than this. So when you really realize how beautiful or how blissful when you are away from it, when it comes to this level of experience. So those things like what you were saying, Stephanie, that romantic relationships it's just for the people, of course. That for the people, not for me, not for us. In my case, of course, I see that really it's another thing that really you would go through in this process of existence. And if you want to be there, that's a different thing. But when you see that, really, like Ajahn Brahma so said, it's much better than being in that free realms of existence rather than indulge with all those things. Make sense?
Definitely, I agree.
Some of the people, they don't see that, and then because it's very strong. I mean, even Buddha mentioned that, really, especially that the fourth fetter, which is desire, and which includes sensual desire and lust and everything, is the very strongest fetter. But it is on the lower fetter, because we can, as a human, we can really see it in a different perspective, or the different dimension, because human are the most wise species in this planet right now. So that is why I think even the people who categorize in the different species, they call humans, right? Current humans are Homo sapien sapien. That Homo sapien means actually human itself, where that really they are differentiated from the other species, where we have a much more wiser view, thoughts, and everything, rather than dogs and other animals. But what they are saying is that the new generation of Homo sapiens are Homo sapiens sapien. That means wiser than normal human. And if I put it that in a different way, like Eckhart Tolle, he always referred to as conscious. We have to be conscious. But when you generally think about it, everybody is conscious, right? We all conscious. Otherwise, we won't talk like this. We won't be here. People won't do work. Everything, they are conscious. But on Eckhart Tolle's vocabulary, conscious is not that. Conscious is much deeper. But he's called the every human are the people who has a normalized unconsciousness. See the word, normalized unconsciousness. That means we all, I mean, according to him, he says that really most of the people who run around this rat race and having all this indulgence and then thinking that is the world are people who normalize their normal consciousness. And then they call it, they are conscious. But Eckhart Tolle say, no, they are not conscious. They are really has this, monkey mind and voice. They are living with the voice in the head. But if you really come out of it, you will be conscious, right? So that's the difference. That is why, and Buddha mentioned that really all the time, everybody's kind of it's a different word, it's kind of a mad, but become a sensible person, you need to come through and pass through this threshold of non-self experience, at least for fraction of a second. Very good. Because we were just talking about that overall picture, and then going back to that Stephanie's question of whether we have to be a monk to go speed it up, but it's nothing to speed it up by changing our physical nature, because that really even on the one-day retreat, some people ask I think Claire, she asked about how can I get this more quickly. So it depends on that really your effort or your ardentness to get there, because it is not a distance to travel. It is within you, inside, right? So it is actually has to be within you. So anytime if you wanted to really get to a deeper level, you sit down and make that determination and just go through that process, and you will get there. That is what even Buddha, when he was trying everything around, whatever available at that time, meditating, getting that, the meditative absorption, jhana, and there are so many different jhanas. I mentioned that in the book. 8 different jhanas. One are form, and the other one is formless jhana. All that he got it, and then finally he realized this is nothing what I'm looking for, what really I ought to be experiencing. And he went on one day under the Bodhi tree. He just sat down. I said, I'm not getting up until I get the right results, the right outcome. And he was meditating throughout the night. And it is the legend says that really at the midnight, and then just passing the midnight, he awakened. That means that he got that final result. So that's why I normally call this awakening rather than enlightenment, because enlightenment word is being used so different terms. We talked about earlier as well in the other traditions. They call it that really, if someone is joining that ocean, it is kind of a enlightenment or the oneness. But here it is not even the ocean. He has awakened from all that dream that we were talking about last time. And this whole existence is a dream. And then once you wake up, it is a dream, and you don't need to nobody else to talk about it. So that's the speeding up process supposed to be, not just taking a robe or going into the forest. Or some people say that really, because in the Buddha's sermon, sometimes it says that really people were in the isolation, and from isolation it can go to this and that. That is true too, because if some people need that isolation and then find out, but it doesn't, not necessary. If you are strong enough to be in like that, and if you have that intuition, like Stephanie, you had before, and then even Alex, I'm sure that you would have had the same thing before. You don't see that really. Once you actually get into your inner essence, you would see that your previous life too. It's fascinating, but it's you experience it. Oh, this is what I have been doing before, kind of a thing. So that is with that, you should be able to go in there without making any changes. And then, to me, I see that really the Eckhart Tolle is one of that person who had those, the once returner who turned into this birth with that kind of experience, and he didn't know about Buddhism or anything. At the age of 29, on one day, he saw all the fetters were gone, and then he just came up and he said, "Oh, I'm not that person anymore." And then he was just, you know, the going around and sitting on the park benches and then enjoying that experience. Later on, he realized some people have get some benefit because people came to him and then asked questions and then he gave the answers and then finally it works for them. And then he realized, oh, I have a purpose to fulfill. So then he started writing that book, The Power of Now, and then came up with that. So that's how I see it. It may be wrong, but I think I can feel my intuition and my experience. I do see that really how these dots are connecting, and that is why Buddha declared about this all these different layers of enlightenment or the different layers of awakening, and then. They may not, I know that really even Eckhart was one day, he said that whoever know Buddhism much better, Buddha's teaching much better, would know that really what I'm talking about rather than others. So I have actually done few episode on this channel with his some of the saying and then referring that back to the Buddha's teaching.
Okay, so so going through the 10 fetters, most of them seem to make sense to me. The ones that I'm a little bit confused about are what is conceit, so that subtle sense of I at the most subtle level, and then restlessness for the subtle agitations. Those two have
Very good.
been a little bit confusing for me to try to understand, just because when I think about the first three and self-illusion specifically with the self-identity, and when you have the non-self experience and you have this sense of I and the physical world and myself and all of these things, and that goes away, and you're left just with this pure awareness that isn't attached to an I or anything specific like that. Why is it that then you still have, or why is it that you still have to remove this sense of I at a subtle level in the fetter of conceit?
Correct. Yeah, very good question. And then it's that good question comes with that same level of that, experience that I was talking about. You, although you didn't know that really you are passing all these different stages of thing, but you are in a deeper stages. That is why this question comes, because you feel that really what is that? So here's the short answer. When we said that, once you get that non-self experience for a fraction of a second, that means that really you, for that fraction of a second, you let go of all 10 fetters. It's gone. And then you got that experience of uh, the experience of or the beyond our existence experience, that perception, perceiving process. From there, you went beyond that for a fraction of a second. So at that fraction of a second, you didn't have any sense of I. Even that conceit level I wasn't there. So that is why it's so profound. And that is why you are really still have that impact coming through you. And that is why you see that. That is why that first three fetters already gone. But in the sense that really it's already gone, already seen, that means you were outside of it. That is why it's so strong and it will stay concrete. It will stay without any change, no change at all. But as we talk about that really remaining 7 fetters, those fetters are really now, as Stephanie was talking about, they are not like it used to be. Conceit is it's called there's a Pali word for that. It's called asmi mana. Asmi mana means like conceit. Asmi means like slightest, like a slithering kind of a thing. So that is what you explain that as well. There is some kind of a thing, what is it? And then it's because of, now, when we talk about these 7 fetters, we are talking about that is happening to you, right? Happening to us, happening to the person. So that means that whatever we have seen as the non-self is not totally gone like, I want to say. It's totally gone, but it seems like it's not like, because it is now, if I put it in a different way, when we talk about a normal person, they have 10 fetters, but this person has only 7 fetters. So that is why that person, that I, is not strong as that. That is why it's called conceit, but it's actually the Pali word mana, which is not the actually like, the person itself. It is kind of a notion of me. That's how the better way to produce. Notion of me. It's not me now anymore. But I know that I am experiencing this. I am experiencing that. Somebody is experiencing it. So that notion of me is the conceit. That is where that really the issue comes. I mean, that is where that conceit means. And I know that really it's a matter of that engaging with this existence. Because you have gone beyond this existence. Now, to be engaged with this existence, you have a little notion of me. That's how you are being here. That is why you go through that remaining 7 filters. I want to stop here before we go to the restlessness. And is that clear, or is it makes sense to you? And even Stephanie.
Yeah, that makes sense. And
So the restlessness is coming because of that. Really, you don't have uh, any more fetters to hang on to or to disturb you anymore. We always agitate here, right? Our inner essence is mostly agitated. Dormant a little bit because of our other strong longing, like, desire, like any other things, aversion. So they are strong. So that they are gone, when they are not there, the other inner essence, that other inner jittery sensations comes through. And they are now strong because nothing else to be strong there. Everything is free. So that is why that you feel that restlessness is up there. This restlessness can be things that really you wanted to do things, you want to do that, you want to do this, and even much subtler level, even one simple thought that you are connecting with and then trying to go along with it. So that makes you restless. It makes sense, Alex?
yeah, that makes sense. And so because we have this most subtle sense of I, it's that most subtle sense of I that is attached to the other 7 fetters, and that is what is keeping us from going into this sense of non-self for extended periods of time and indefinitely in the end. Is that correct?
Correct. Definitely at the end, it will be the continuous non-self experience that you had very first time for a fraction of a second.
Mm-hmm.
So until such time, you cannot see the things that I used to explain to you, and then you were a little confused because of the existence is different, and then that dependent origination kind of a thing. It's maybe vaguely clear, but not completely pure until you get to that final stage of letting go of that even little agitations, and then the very very last one is that ignorance. It's not even agitation, it's a ignorance in the sense that really not knowing that you are in this existence, connected with this existence, because of your that very subtle level thirst of, or the very subtle level clinging. So that also goes. So when it goes, actually, that whole snowball is being totally dissolved and then melted down. So nothing there. And then there is no even that very subtler level conceit to be seen. You see?
Mm-hmm. I see.
These are too deep a level discussion for others. I'm just telling you for few other people, but it's still actually it's a very good perspective for you.